And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven, from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were voices, and thunders, and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And great Babylon came in remembrance before God, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great.
Good evening, TikTok family. My name is Gail, and I just want to share with you a dream that the Lord has given me. And this is my first time posting to TikTok, so just bear with me. So I had a dream that I was shopping, and it was just a normal, nice, bright, sunny day. And I came out the store, and as I came out the store, people all around, of course, everybody is shopping, taking care of business, things like that. And so I happened to look up in the sky. Something kind of like caught my attention. And so I looked up in the sky and I could see some smoke off into the distance. And then when I looked again, I could see a mushroom cloud forming. And I began to say to the people, "Do you see that? Do you see that?" And they looked at me like, like what? We don't see anything. And they just kept on about that every day. And I looked and I could see a huge mushroom cloud forming. I knew it was going to come my way. I took off running. And I ran back into the store, ran all the way to the back, ran into one of the bathroom stalls and just kind of crouched down. And I waited a bit and then I decided, go back outside. So I went back outside, and when I got back outside, I could not believe it. It looked like a great devastation that has just taken place, something just been bombed. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like one moment, everything was perfect, everything was fine. And the next moment, it was devastation everywhere.
Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Barakati Yahweh Shai, Barakati Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Recha HaKodash, Kol Thapa Arath, Hawad Wahaloyim, Ratwatham Yatla, Allahayanawa, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Ba Recha HaKodash. And what I just said in the Lashon Kodash being the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, or in other words, the true biblical Hebrew for holy tongue or language. And what I just said is, all glory, honor, and praises abundantly and continuously to our power, Yahweh, the true name of our Heavenly Father, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls God, in the name of his only begotten Son, our Savior, our Messiah, our Deliverer, Yahweh Shai, HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly and incorrectly calls Jesus Christ, in, or in other words, through the Holy Spirit. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching and pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth, to the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3, as well as the rest of the elect, scattered abroad amongst the heathen nations to the four corners of the earth, east, north, south, and west. To you I say, Shalom. This is your brother, Ra'aib Tazadakwa, coming back at you again, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, with another lesson, all through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Shai. Yahweh Ratazah, Yahweh willing, is going to be edifying and encouraging for you Achim, brothers, and any Achwath, sisters, that may be listening and or watching. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is give the fair use disclaimer. Fair use is allowed under the U.S. law for educational, commentary, criticism purposes, and the like. That's, of course, what we're using this clip for. Not profiting from it in any way, shape, fashion, or form. And I'm going to go ahead and give credit to the originator of the material, which the brother is featuring a clip off of TikTok, and I think he put the disclaimer on there. So yeah, you see the disclaimer on the screen right there. Anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and give credit to the brother. And Salakia, the brother, the page is the Hopeful Elect 3, and the title is Eve Shares, Eve being a name or a reference to an Israelite woman, usually specific to the Southern Kingdom. That's typically how it's used, but it could be used to refer to the woman of any tribe, right? But Eve shares vision of Revelation 6 and 14, which, if you get Revelation 6 and 14, which we've featured Revelation 6 and 14 in this lesson series already, because I'm going to get into that next. This is part 11, but we featured this, so might as well go ahead and read it again, okay? And the heaven, meaning the sky, the atmosphere, because there's 4 heavens. One is metaphoric, which is rulership, or on a lower level, everything's just going your way, okay? Everything's just going well for you. Man, this is heaven, man. I'm in heaven, you know? And so on the lowest level, everything's just going really, really well for you. Like crazy well, you know, like, you know, as they say, you know, you win the lottery or whatever, you know? On the highest level, you're in rulership, okay? So that's the metaphoric heaven. It's not talking about that one. It's talking about one of the 3 literal heavens, okay? The highest heaven being the spiritual realm, the abode of the Most High, okay? Where the Most High and the angels and Yahweh Shai and all them, you know, they're there, the angels and whatnot. It didn't talk about that heaven. And then they got the second heaven, or the middle heaven, which would be outer space. Not really talking about that one either. It's talking about the lowest heaven. The lowest heaven being the sky or the atmosphere. The heaven departing as a scroll when it is rolled together. We refer to that today as a thermonuclear mushroom cloud. Okay, and that's what's being described here in Revelation 6 and 14. It's what we were. Now, the term mushroom cloud was not coined back 2,000 years ago, 1,900 and plus years ago, when John was on the Isle of Patmos. So he compared it to something that was more comparable to the day, which was a scroll being rolled together. And if you think about it, that's exactly what matter of fact, that's even a better description than a mushroom cloud. Okay. But, you know, mushroom cloud's pretty good too. But all the smoke and soot and ash is coming up and billowing up and rolling out as it does. And it makes that mushroom top, but it's rolling. It's not stagnant. It's not just sitting there. Well, okay, it's dynamic and it's moving, right? And that's where the rolling together of the scroll comes into play. And that's why he compared it to that. This is a thermonuclear mushroom cloud. That's what he saw. He described it as the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. And then he describes what happens next. Every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Okay? Which is because that gets into that great earthquake. Okay? This is the thermonuclear destruction. That's what this is talking about. Okay? Let me see. I didn't mean to do that. And I wanted to see here if it also mentioned, yep, there's the great earthquake, okay, in verse 12, okay, and I beheld when he had opened the 6th seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, okay, this is the thermonuclear destruction causing this great earthquake, and we got over there in Revelation 16, that this earthquake was so great, so mighty, and so great an earthquake. And that's because it's worldwide. Okay, but let me not get into that yet, because I want to finish up the front matter. Okay, so Eve shares vision of Revelation 6 and 14 because she saw a thermonuclear mushroom cloud. Okay, and that's why it's titled that. And the page, the screen's just not doing what I want it to do tonight. The hopeful elect 3. So fair use notice is given, fair use is allowed. The next thing I want to say is that this is part 11. Salakia. This is part 11 in an ongoing lesson series, with the thumbnail being the first portion of the title. Okay, we interrupt this program due to, and then the rest of the title being the actual written title, End Time Biblical Prophecies and the End of the World. Part 10 is up now, but I can't show it to you because I can show you the other parts, if you wanted to see them, and typically I do. Salakia for the flipping. There's no other way to do this. All right. Okay. All right. And so part 9 is, actually, wait a minute. Oh, this is part 12 then. This is part 12. Part 11, I have not uploaded it yet because I got to do a little edit to it. And so I just didn't get the time to do that yet. So Yahweh Ratazah, I'm going to take care of that after I finish this lesson. So part 11 will be up by the time you're seeing this. All right. So this is actually part 12. All right, and you can see the lesson series here. It started with live streams. You come over here, and the four most recent live streams are this lesson series. The first 4 parts: 1 and 2, 3, and 4. No. 3 and then part 8. So it's okay. So yeah, all right. The first 3 lives were at the beginning of the winter storm, and then I picked up at part 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're doing the week. And then you had the part 8 was last week's live stream, and you've had parts 9. That's part 4. You've had parts 9, 10, 11, and 12 this week so far, and Yahweh Razah will get part 13 tomorrow night. And so yeah, it's all one big lesson. We've covered a lot of precepts. Okay, so keep that in mind. I mean, you can watch the individual lessons and the individual parts and get edified, but keeping in mind that each part builds on the preceding parts. We've gotten a lot of precepts. We've featured, like, I think this is the 5th or 6th clip that we featured, right? And so, we're not necessarily going to go back and go over all the precepts again, unless the Spirit brings it up and prompts, like the 6 and 14, Revelation 6 and 14. But there's a lot of precepts we've gone. Most recently in part 11, we were in Joel, the 3rd chapter. We got Joel, the 2nd chapter, then we went into Joel, the 3rd chapter. We're going to resume with Joel, the 3rd chapter tonight, and Yahweh Razah will get into Revelation 14. But that all depends, because since I featured this clip, okay, there's other precepts that we're getting into, because I was not originally planning to get into Revelation 16. And because we're in Revelation 16, we're going to go touch on Revelation 18 and 2nd Ezra 15. And so if I can get all of that done and still get back and pick up and resume where we left off last night in Joel 3, then we will. If not, then we'll get it, in the next part or 2. Okay. So this is part 12 tonight. Now, at the beginning, they put this precept up. All right. They put this precept up. Where is it? No, I think it's over here. There it is. Joel 2 and 28, right? And we didn't get that when we were in Joel. But you got Joel 2, 28, 29, and 30. Let's go to Acts, though. Because in the book of Acts, Joel, the 2nd chapter, 28, 29, and 30 is paraphrased. So we go to Acts 2 and was it 17, 18? Yep. Okay. And who's speaking here? Let me see here. Peter, the Apostle Peter. The Apostle Peter is speaking here, and he is quoting from Joel, the 2nd chapter. Verse 16, but this is that which was spoken by the prophet Joel. And it shall come to pass in the last days, saith the Most High, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, not just Israelites. Okay. And this is specific to what comes next. Okay, this isn't talking about having the spirit where you can understand, the prophecies and break down the prophecies and teach the scriptures. It's not talking about that. This is for a specific application, a specific purpose, and it's limited only to that. And that's the reason why it's all flesh, including heathen. Okay, because it's just talking about what comes next. It's not talking about anything else. Okay, I will pour out of my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, meaning simply on the lowest level, say what's going to happen before it happens. And is that because they are prophets? No. This is just simply saying they're going to say what's going to happen before it happens, and your young men shall see visions, okay? And your old men shall dream dreams. This is simply saying that people are going to be getting all around the world, and this is happening. And TikTok, YouTube, other social media platforms are littered with it, all over the place. All right, heathen, Israelites, Israelites that's in the truth, Israelites that are not in the truth, anyone and everyone that the Most High is determined to pour his spirit out upon, they're having dreams, end time visions, and end time prophetic dreams and visions. And then let's say it's a heathen. And that heathen, all right, wakes up troubled by the dream, and they go and tell somebody what they dreamed, and it was a prophetic dream because the Most High poured his spirit out on them to have that dream. Well, they prophesied, meaning simply they said what was going to happen before it happened. Whether they understand it or not, whether they believe it or not, none of that matters. This is prophesying on the lowest level. Which, if you see two teams playing sports, and you really discern that one team is going to win, although it's still not clear which team is going to win, you say, you know what, I think this team's going to win, and then that team ultimately wins. You prophesied. It doesn't make you a prophet. Okay, you simply said what was going to happen before it happened. Okay, and that's all this is saying. Okay, and that's all this is saying is that the Most High is going to put a spirit on them, and they're going to do that. And on my service and on my handmaidens I will pour out in those days of my spirit, and they shall prophesy. Simply say what's going to happen before it happens, because they saw it. They're just telling what they saw in their dream. This isn't talking about them actually being prophets. Okay, this is just simply saying they're going to say what's going to happen before it happens, because simply they saw it and then they told somebody. All right, and so that's what this woman did. Okay.
A dream that the Lord has given me, and this is my first time posting to TikTok, so just bear with me. So I had a dream that I was shopping, and it was just a normal, nice, bright, sunny day, and I came out the store, and as I came out the store, people all around, of course, everybody is shopping, taking care of business, things like that. And so I happened to look up in the sky. Something kind of like caught my attention. And so I looked up in the sky, and I could see some smoke off into the distance. And then when I looked again, I could see a mushroom cloud forming. And I began to say to the people, do you see that? Do you see that? And they looked at me like, like what? We don't see anything. And they just kept on about there every day. And I looked, and I could see a huge mushroom cloud forming. I knew it was going to come my way. I took off running. And I ran back into the store, ran all the way to the back.
Salaki, I'm going to back it up again, because she said something that prompted me to have a precept, and it ran away from me. I'm going to try to get it back.
And as I came out the store, people all around, of course, everybody.
Barakatha Yahweh Shemal Shah. I got it. Okay, Matthew 24, 37, 38, and 39. Don't let me forget.
Shopping, taking care of business, things like that. And so I happened to look up in the sky. Something kind of like caught my attention. And so I looked up in the sky, and I could see some smoke off into the distance. And then when I looked again, I could see a mushroom cloud forming. And I began to say to the people, do you see that? Do you see that? And they looked at me like, like what? We don't see anything. And they just kept on about there every day. And I looked, and I could see a huge mushroom cloud forming. I knew it was going to come my way. I took off running. And I ran back into the store, ran all the way to the back, ran into one of the bathroom stalls, and just kind of crouched down. And I waited a bit, and then I decided, go back outside. So I went back outside, and when I got back outside, I could not believe it. It looked like a great devastation that has just taken place, something just been bombed. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like one moment everything was perfect, everything was fine, and the next moment it was devastation everywhere.
She just prophesied. She just said what's going to happen before it happens. Okay? Because she saw it in a vision, in a dream. The Most High poured out his spirit on her. She happens to be a daughter of Zion, right? But it's happening to heathen women too. Okay? All right? That's why the scripture says in Joel and in the book of Acts, all flesh. Chapter 2, Joel. Okay? Chapter 2, the book of Acts. Okay? All flesh, meaning heathen and Israelites alike. And once you get within the nation of Israel, Israelites that are repentant and Israelites that are non-repentant. All flesh. All flesh. Bear with me a second. Yeah, I'm doing this lesson in the car and I accidentally popped the trunk. But anyway, she just prophesied. That was the fulfillment in this time, which is the in the book of Acts, that was the beginning of the last days. Here, we're at the end of the last days. And you got to understand that there's two contexts for that. Okay? There's a broader scope, a macroscope for that, and there's a microscope for that. Okay? On a macroscope, the last days was these last 2,000 years. Okay? You got to understand, I'm not going to get too deep into that because there's a breakdown you can get into to explain all that. I'm just going to give it to you in a nutshell. Okay? Because as it is written in the book of 2 Peter, the 3rd chapter, and the 8th verse, I want to say 7th or 8th verse, a day with Adawan is as 1,000 years. A day with the Lord is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as one day. 2,000 years, that's just 2 days. Okay? And that's also in the 90th Psalm. Okay? So the last 2,000 years, those 2,000 years are the last days. Okay? But that's only 2 days in the spiritual realm. So now, let's come to that's why I said that was the beginning of the last days. Now, that's if you're looking at it as in 2,000 years, okay? But obviously, if you're looking at it at 2 days, well, there's just 2 days. Last days, 2 days is only 2 days long, right? But if you're looking at it as literal human years, that's the beginning of the last days. And the last days has spanned these 2,000 years, and now we're at the end of the last days. That's when you get down to a micro level on it, okay? And now we're zooming in to the end times here that we're in now, where the truth has been given back to us. This is the very end of the last days, okay? That's what we're in. We're in the very end of the last days, and so it was fulfilled back then in the book of Acts, okay? Joel prophesied it, and then it was fulfilled in the book of Acts, but now it's being fulfilled again. It was fulfilled in the book of Acts at the beginning of the end days, but now it's being fulfilled now here at the end of the let me say that again. It was fulfilled in the book of Acts at the beginning of the last days, but now it's being fulfilled here at the end of the last days, because the last days is a period of time. It's the last days, right? You got a beginning, you got a middle, and you got an end. We're at the end of it. Okay? And what happens at the end of it? It ends. Okay, so we're at the end of the last days, and at the end of the last days is being fulfilled again, and this time is being fulfilled to the max, to a great degree. Okay, to a great degree. And she just prophesied, all right, and she spoke and said what was going to happen because it was revealed to her in a dream and a vision, and she spoke it, and in doing so, she said what was going to happen before it happens. Now, I want to point one thing out before we get into the Revelation 16, 18, and 2 Corinthians 15. I think that's what we're going to get today. Listen to what she says at the beginning.
Do TikTok, so just bear with me. So I had a dream that I was shopping, and it was just a normal, nice, bright, sunny day.
Normal day.
And I came out the store, and as I came out the store, people all around, of course, everybody is shopping, taking care of business, things like that.
Everybody's shopping, taking care of business, things like that. Okay, and that's what I want. That's what I want. Let me let you hear that again. Okay.
With me. So I had a dream that I was shopping, and it was just a normal, nice, bright, sunny day. And I came out the store, and as I came out the store, people all around, of course, everybody is shopping, taking care of business, things like that. And so I happened to look up in
That's the focus right there, because I want to show you something before we get into Revelation 16. All right. Matthew. Normal, bright, sunny day. I was shopping. I came out the store. Everybody else was shopping, taking care of business, going here and there, doing this and that, things like that. Okay? Matthew 24:37. Okay? Okay? But as the days of Noe, referring to Noah, okay, translated from different manuscripts, translated from Greek manuscripts, whereas the Old Testament was translated from Hebrew manuscripts. That's the reason why the name is spelled different, but it's talking about Noah. But as the days of Noe, I'm going to say Noah, were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. What was it like in Noah's days? Okay, what happened during Noah's days? The flood. What is the flood? The first death. Okay? So if this is being compared to the first death, then what must we be in the time of? The second death. What was the first death by? Water. But didn't the Most High promise he wasn't going to destroy the earth with water again? Yes, he did. But he didn't say anything about fire. So the second death is by fire. For as in the days that were, and we're in the time of the second death. For as in the days that were before the flood, so in other words, just like it was during the time of the flood, the flood came, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Normal day, normal sunny day. Okay? Shopping, carrying out your business, things like that. Well, what's business? Going to get something to eat, going to get something to drink, okay? Getting a new woman, meeting her, having a date, having sex, having a wedding marriage, a wedding ceremony, just doing business as usual, life as usual. Okay? All right? Because how do you consummate marriages? Okay? With the act of sex, right? So doing everything that you would do. Okay? Now, obviously, she didn't see that. She just saw people going about their daily course of life, their daily course of action, carrying out their business, handling their business. Well, all of this is their business. Okay? Shopping, eating, drinking, marrying, giving in marriage. It doesn't list shopping here, but you know that's part of it. These are just examples of normal daily activities. And that's the point. Okay? For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, carrying out business as usual, life as usual, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, all the way up until Noah entered into the ark. Just continuing to live their life just like normal. And knew not, didn't have a clue, until the flood came. They didn't get a clue until they got wet. Okay? And took them all away, and they all drowned. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. It's going to be the same thing in the time of the second death. Wait a minute, it doesn't say anything about a death. It says talking about Yahweh returns. Right, because his return is simultaneous with the thermonuclear destruction. That's what it says up here. Okay? Okay? Immediately after the tribulation of those days, we're in that tribulation, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. Why not? Because of those thermonuclear mushroom clouds. Okay? Because of the heaven being rolled together as a scroll. And the stars shall fall from heaven. Okay? That's manifold, but the application we're looking at here is those stars, is the nuclear warheads. And the powers of heaven, those that are in rulership, shall be shaken. And then shall appear, while that's going on, and then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, Yahushai. And then shall all the tribes of the earth rejoice and leap and sing for joy. Because Yahweh, because they're not going to say Yahweh. They would say, because Jesus is coming back. No. Then shall all, number one, it ain't no Jesus, man. Then shall all the, Yahushai. Then shall all of the tribes of the, complete and total polar opposite of your fake ass, phony ass, whack ass Jesus. Completely and totally the opposite. And then shall your Jesus is fake and phony, and he's an idol. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds, meaning the chariots, what the world calls UFOs and UAPs, of heaven with power and great glory, and to make it plain and clear to you like you've never imagined. Okay? And he's going to send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Well, that's one of the things he's coming to do, but there's another thing he's coming to do. All right? Destroy you heathen nations, your kingdoms. Okay? To wage war in righteousness. Revelation 19, started at 11, go down. Okay? 2 Ezra 13, started 1, go down. Isaiah 63, started 1, go down. Okay? The 110th Psalm. All right? Wage war in righteousness. Okay? So his return is simultaneous with the thermonuclear destruction. Okay? So when she said that, okay, getting back down here, I forgot what sent me over there. Okay? And knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. So when it says, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be, that's basically telling you that that's also what's going to be happening when the second death occurs, which is by fire, thermonuclear fire. Because the second death is simultaneous with the return of the Son of Man, Yahushua. Okay? So all the way up until Yahushua returns, all the way up into the thermonuclear destruction, all the way up into the thermonuclear destruction and the return of Yahushua, people are going to be going on life as usual, business as usual, eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage. Okay? Picking up women and having sex. All right, shopping, okay, making business deals, okay, working, everything, mowing the lawn, okay, everything, buying a new car, business as usual, all the way up until the missiles drop. And isn't that what she said?
Nice, bright, sunny day. And I came out the store. And as I came out the store, people all around, of course, everybody is shopping, taking care of business, things like that. And so I happened to look up in the sky, something kind of like caught my attention. And so I looked up in the sky and I could see some smoke off into the distance. And then when I looked again, I could see a mushroom cloud forming. And I began to say to the people, do you see that? Do you see that? And they looked at me like, like what? We don't see anything. And they just kept on about that every day. And I looked and I could see a...
Yeah, see, to me, that kind of is like, hinting at people, certain people kind of seeing that it's coming. We're not talking about us because we know it's coming and we can envision it. But we talking about people who are out in the world who are not in the truth. Okay, some of them can kind of see what's coming, but they don't really know what to make of it. They don't really know for sure. Maybe what they think they seeing isn't what they think it is, and then they might try to tell somebody, but the others don't see it. And so they kind of not sure. That's kind of what I kind of get from that.
Again, I could see a mushroom cloud forming. And I began to say to the people...
And notice, she said forming. Like I said, I kind of get this portion of the dream as kind of being a metaphoric or parabolic indication of certain people who are not in the truth, don't know what's going on, but kind of can see things starting to shape up for what it's going to turn out to be. They don't know what to make of it. They share with others. Others don't see it. And so they're not sure. And then, lo and behold.
Do you see that? Do you see that? And they looked at me like, like what? We don't see anything. And they just kept on about that every day.
Right. Because if somebody sees a thermonuclear mushroom cloud and they show it to others, they're gonna know what they're seeing. That's why I see this first portion of the dream right there. I see that as being a metaphor, parabolic representation of people that kind of looking at the headlines, kind of see what's going on in the world, and they kind of starting to wonder. It looks like world war is coming. It looks like the nuclear war is coming, but they're not sure. They're not sure, and they share with others, and like, nah, it ain't gonna happen. Everything's gonna be fine. Life's gonna continue as usual. That's what I see that representing. Because if somebody actually sees a thermonuclear mushroom cloud forming and they point it out to others, nobody's going to go, no, I don't see nothing, right? So I see the first portion of this being metaphoric, all right? And then the last portion being literal.
And then when I looked again, I could see a mushroom cloud forming. And I began to say to the people, do you see that? Do you see that? And they looked at me like, like what? We don't see anything. And they just kept on about that every day. And I looked and I could see a huge mushroom cloud.
Yeah, and you notice the way it shifts, okay? And then I think this second one where she says, and I could see a huge, the first one was just forming, like present tense. It was in the process of forming. Then she says, I could see a huge mushroom cloud forming. That one is, I believe, the actual literal vision. In other words, that's the actual literal vision. She actually saw what was going to happen, okay? Not just a metaphoric representation of it. That's what I'm taking this to be.
Forming, I knew was going to come my way. I took off running. And I ran back into the store, ran all the way to the back, ran into one of the bathroom stalls and just kind of crouched down. And I waited a bit and then I decided, go back outside. So I went back outside, and when I got back outside, I could not believe it. It looked like a great devastation that has just taken place, something just been bombed. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like one moment, everything was perfect, everything was fine. And the next moment, it was devastation everywhere.
Devastation everywhere, okay? This is what's coming, okay? But as the days of Noe were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, the first death, they were eating and drinking, business as usual, marrying and giving in marriage, business as usual, until the day that Noe entered into the ark, living their best life now, living life as normal, and knew not, no clue, what? I don't see nothing, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. And this time it's going to be, and knew not until the thermonuclear mushroom clouds formed. And knew not until the nuclear warheads fell as stars. How they put it back up here? Wouldn't it up here? Salakia. Let me see here. Yes. Okay. Yeah. The stars shall fall from heaven, and knew not until the stars fell from heaven. Okay. And knew not until the flood came and took them all away. And knew not in this time, bring it up to the second death, knew not until the thermonuclear mushroom clouds formed, until the thermonuclear warheads fell, and the thermonuclear mushroom clouds formed and burned them all up. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. It's going to be the same way in the time of the second death, which we're in the time of the second death now. Okay? It's happening in our lifetimes. We believe the men of the Lord, Yahweh Azabi, counted my said number, those that teach the gospel of the kingdom, all right, the doctrine as taught by the men of Great Millstone, we believe we're a matter of months away. That's what we believe. Measuring the time diligently and of itself. But wait a minute, Rib, it says up here, but of that day and hour knoweth no man. So you setting dates? No, we don't know the day. We don't know the hour. You're right. You're right. The scripture's right. Okay, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. Only the Father knows, right? So no, we don't know, but we are commanded to know when it's close. And we are commanded to measure the time diligently in and of itself. And when we see part of the signs pass, then we must, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou well understand that it is the very same time in which the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's not only part, we see all. Okay, the vast majority are already past, but there's only a handful that remain, and the handful that remains is front and center right now, passing before our eyes right now. So it's not just part. All is past except a small handful, and the small handful that remains is front and center right now, passing before our eyes right now. So we got to know it's close, and we do. We're commanded to know. Okay? All right? Thou hypocrite, you're able to discern the signs of the weather, but you're not able to discern the signs of the times. That's right. Yahweh shall rebuke the wicked scribes and Pharisees because although they weren't supposed to know it, they weren't able to know an exact date, an exact time, like date, month, time, hour, and all that he would be there. They were supposed to know that it was the time for him to be there, though. And in that same manner, we're supposed to know when it's very close, measure. Okay, now our measurement is not going to be exact because we don't know a day or hour, but our measurement is going to be approximate but it's going to be a close approximation. Okay? So we don't know, but look, you said, well, wait a minute. You said it was going to be, well, we ain't saying no number of months except for to give you a band of what we think, because we don't know for sure. But you said you thought it was going to be 18 to 36 months, and it actually turned out to be 44 months. It's an approximation, man. Okay? We don't know exact. Okay? But listen, if we say 8, for me, for example, for me, I think it's going to fall somewhere in that window. Okay? And if it winds up being in 16 months, come on, man. That's it. Okay? It's an approximation. If it winds up being 45, 46, 47, 48 months, it's an approximation, man. We're talking about this world being burned by thermonuclear fire. Okay? All right? The point is, it's close. We don't know exactly how many months, but we believe months, and we believe that strongly, because we're measuring the time diligently in and of itself. And if that's the case, then you ought to read 2 Peter 3, 10 and 11. Okay? Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation? In other words, knowing that and seeing that this world is about to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire, how should you be living? What should you be doing? What mindset should you be in? Okay? How should you be living? How should you be thinking? What spirit should you be in? Okay? See, that's the point. Not whether or not, well, y'all said you thought it was a matter of, you thought it was going to be, you said you thought it was going to be in 2026 or 27, and it was in 2028. That's a dumb mindset. That's a dumb way of looking at it. Okay? The right mindset is to hasten it. Okay? All right? So people can get simple-minded, and I'm trying to rebuke you to not be simple-minded. Okay? We don't know exactly when, but we're commanded to know when it's close, and it is close. And when we measure it like we're commanded to do, 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, start at verse 1, we come up with an estimate of where we think it's going to be, and we say months. Okay? And that's it. Okay? No one's setting any dates, but we're commanded to know when it's close, and we're commanded to measure. And our measurement is months. Do we know how many months? No. Well, what do you think? Well, I think, personally, speaking as a man, I think 18 to 36. We'll see. Could it be in the 40s? Yes, I don't know for sure. Okay, we don't know that. But we do know this. It's close. Very close. Months. Okay? Now, let's get into that. Revelation. Did I get everything I wanted to get there? I think so. Let's get into that Revelation 16. Okay? She saw the heaven being rolled together as a scroll, a thermonuclear mushroom cloud. Now, I open up with this Revelation 16. Okay? And the 7th angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, "It is done." And there were voices and thunders and lightnings. And there was a great earthquake. Okay? Just like it said over in Revelation 6. You can read about it over in Isaiah 24 and other places too. Okay? This earthquake is going to be as a result of the thermonuclear destruction. Because it's not going to be 1 or 2 or 3 or 20 thermonuclear mushroom clouds. We already got this. You check out the other parts. Revelation, the 9th chapter tells me that it's going to be 200 million thermonuclear mushroom clouds from 200 million thermonuclear warheads. Each and every one of those 200 million thermonuclear warheads powerful enough to destroy any city on the planet. No, I'm talking about the biggest cities on the planet, all by itself, just one. That's how powerful one of them is. 200 million of them, according to Revelation 9th chapter. It's a metaphor, okay? You're going to go over there and you're going to see the horsemen and all that. The horseman is a metaphor for the warheads. We already covered this. Check out the other parts. I'm just touching on it, okay? So that's going to cause this earthquake. See? And that's the reason why it says at the end of verse 18, well, let's go ahead and read it. And there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great, and when it says great, it's exceeding by far anything you're thinking. Because what I'm telling you, I'm explaining to you, is that this great earthquake will be worldwide. And this great earthquake will run roughshod over the Richter scale. Don't bother. Okay? The Richter scale has nothing for this. Okay? Well, what was this on the Richter scale? What? This is going to run roughshod over the Richter scale. Richter scale will be foaming at the mouth, flopping and twitching. Don't bother asking about a Richter scale. Okay? And there was a great worldwide tremendous earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake worldwide, and so great. If you want a Richter scale rating, 100. And by the way, keep in mind the Richter scale is not linear. A 2.0 on the Richter scale is not twice as powerful as a 1.0. A 2.0 on the Richter scale is a lot more powerful than a 1.0. A 4.0 on the Richter scale is not half as powerful and half as destructive as an 8.0. Okay? It's not linear. Okay? A 7.9 on the Richter scale is a lot more powerful than a 7.0. A 8.5 is a lot more powerful than a 7.0. And a 7.0 is pretty powerful too. It's not linear, it's exponential, it's logarithmic. Okay? It goes up at a non-linear rate. Okay? So, a 10.0 on the Richter scale is way more powerful than double a 5.0. So if you want a rating, I don't know, man. I don't know a number to give you. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's going to be well north of a 10.0. Well north of a 10.0. Okay? And keep in mind, it's non-linear. It's going to totally and completely rearrange the topography of the earth. The earth, when this is done, and the ensuing months and years afterwards, as things settle out on the earth is going to look completely and totally different. Okay? So mighty an earthquake and so great. And the great city, America, Babylon the Great, was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. Because it's not just America, Babylon the Great being destroyed. Okay? All the kingdoms, and I beheld, Daniel the 7th chapter, and I beheld to the thrones, plural. What thrones? The thrones, the kingdoms of all the heathen nations fell. And I beheld until the thrones were cast down. And the cities, plural, of the nations, which ones? All of them, fell. And great Babylon, back to America, and great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High. Psalms 137. And great Babylon, okay, came into remembrance. I hit the wrong button. Came into remembrance. Come on now. Came into remembrance. 137. Let's go back real quick. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High, to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. You don't want that, okay? But it's not optional. And great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High. He spoke it. It's written. Can't be changed. Can't be altered. Can't be delayed. Can't be nothinged. Okay? Came in remembrance before the Most High to give unto her. This is prayer. This is answered prayer. To give unto her I didn't pray for it. To give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath. Well, somebody that the Heavenly Father, somebody who is beloved to the Heavenly Father, did pray for it. Oh, and by the way, we pray for it every day. Okay? That's why we got to go to the 137th Psalm. Okay? Who is this here? Well, it doesn't identify. I want to say it's Malak Dawadah, but usually if it's Malak Dawadah, which means beloved, it'll say that. All right, but it doesn't identify who wrote this psalm. Okay. I feel like in the spirit it was King David, but we don't know for sure since it's not identified. Okay. Oh, I'm in the wrong one. Okay. But whoever wrote it, I feel like it was King David, but I don't know that for sure. I thought it was going to identify him there. But whoever wrote it, okay, one of the prophets, one of the mighty men of the Heavenly Father, one of the Elohim, remember, O Yahweh, the sons of... So this is a prayer set to music, a psalm. Remember, this is a prayer sung, a prayer set to music. Okay? Remember, O Yahweh, the sons of Edom. Hey, I thought we were coming here for Babylon. In the day of Yerushalayim, in the day of our deliverance, in the day of our salvation, in the day that you bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, in the day that you return us back to the land, in the day of our salvation and deliverance, Abba, O Yahweh, remember those Edomites, the sons of Edom, in the day of Yerushalayim, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. Obadiah, start at verse 10, only one chapter, go down to 14. O daughter of Babylon. There's your Babylon. Well, wait a minute, Rod. Why did you read about Edom then? Why didn't you just start at verse 8? Verse 7 and verse 8 talking about the same thing. Who's in control of Babylon, America, Babylon the Great? Edom. Okay? So when it talks about Babylon, that's Edom. Okay? Because they're in control of Babylon. So when Babylon's destroyed, their kingdom's being destroyed. And not just America, all their kingdoms, right? But America, Babylon the Great, is going to get it completely and totally and utterly. And along with America getting it completely and totally, utterly, the land of Israel as well. Because you got Edomites over there at this time also. Oh, daughter of Babylon. And you see how the daughter of Babylon is directly connected and linked to Edom. Okay? Because the preceding verse, okay, hey, he just prayed in this psalm for the Heavenly Father to remember the Edomites. And then the next line out of his mouth is about Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, not ancient Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, which is America, Babylon the Great. And he says this next, O daughter of Babylon, who art future tense, to be destroyed. Art is Old English for future tense, to who will be destroyed. That's how you would say it in the Old English. Who art in the future to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Okay? Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones, daughter of Babylon, thy little ones, Edom, against the stones. Okay? So, that's why it says this here. Answer the prayer right here. Great Babylon came in remembrance. Okay? Remember, O Yahweh, the sons of Edom, and great Babylon, which art to be destroyed, back in the 137th Psalm, now currently being destroyed in Revelation 16. Okay, which is about to be fulfilled very shortly, we believe, strongly, a matter of months, double digits, I believe. Okay, most likely, I feel like 18 to 36, somewhere in there. That's what I think. Might be 18 to 48, somewhere in there. That's where I would put my money on. Measuring the time diligently as I'm commanded. Okay, knowing when it's close as I'm commanded. Okay. Do I know that for sure? No, it could occur before that, and it can occur after that. But if it's after that, it ain't gonna be a lot after that. Okay? We're to measure the time diligently. We're to know when it's close, and we know it's close. And not only do we know it's close, we believe it's very, very close. And I already told you. I'm gonna tell you again, months. Okay? And when you see them making the Revelation 13 batch verses 16 to 18, the charagma mandatory, then drop that month. Then you can keep that same determination, but you got to alter it. And all you got to do is put some additional words before the months. Okay? So it would go from months, okay, to single digit months. That's what we believe when they make that mandatory. Okay? Keeping in mind Matthew 24, 21, and 22, the closer we get to the end, the faster the prophecies are being fulfilled. Everything's speeding up. Okay? And it's going to continue to speed up nonstop, getting faster and faster and faster and faster and faster until the end comes. So you can't do that very much longer. It's already been going on for quite some time, decades. Okay? So it can't go much longer. We are that generation. And all these things must come to pass. How's it worded? I'm slacking. I'm messing up the wording. And that generation, and this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. We're this generation. And that generation has started decades ago. Okay? So it can't go too much longer. Okay? Because that generation is not going to pass off the scene until all these things are fulfilled. It didn't start today. It started decades ago. Okay? So, generation lasts some decades, right? So it can't go too much longer. We're still in that window, but it can't go too much longer. That's why we know, even if it's longer than the estimate I told you, it ain't going to be a lot longer. Okay? It can't. So that's another reason to believe it. But that's not the only reason. It's not the only reason. We also believe that because we look and see what's happening. Okay? There's a lot of reasons to believe it's going to be a matter of months, double-digit months, but on the low side of that, okay? 18 to 36, maybe 18 to 40, what's that, 36? Yes, 18 to 36, or maybe 18 to 48, somewhere in there. That's what I think, okay? Especially if you back it up to the 48. Now I'm even more confident, okay? Do we know for 100%? No. But now, if you want, you pressure me and I push it out to 18 to 48, that's a wide ass band, and I'm even more confident it's going to fall in there. Yeah, how right as it does. That's what we want. Okay. Oh, you got me. It was 52 months. Okay, fine. Whatever. We out. Okay. All right. You should understand by now. Okay. Okay. But this is answer to prayer. And great Babylon came in remembrance before the Most High to give unto her the cup of the wine. I gotta stress this, man. Okay. I gotta stress this. I already mentioned it, but I'm gonna get it now. Okay? I said 10 and 11, but it's just 10 is the thermonuclear destruction. Okay? And it continues in verse 12. Okay? And it continues in verse 12, but I want to make this point. Seeing then, in verse 11, seeing then that all these things shall be burned the fuck up. The Apostle Peter said, in translated to English, dissolved. What manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation, behavior, and speech, and godliness? Since everything around us, everything. Isn't that what she said? Isn't that what she said?
Just been bombed, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like one moment, everything was perfect, everything was fine.
Everything.
And the next moment, it was devastation everywhere.
Yeah, that's what she said. Everything was fine, everything was perfect, and the next moment, it was devastation everywhere. Meaning, everything was burned the fuck up. Oh, and by the way, she was just seeing it because ultimately, she just saw a little snapshot, a little snippet, because this whole land, you ain't gonna be able to come out. And if you do come out, you're gonna be burned shortly after that, because the whole land, you ain't gonna be able to come out and see the devastation, because it's going to be completely and totally engulfed in flames. She saw it before it went quite that far. She just saw a little snippet, okay? And it stopped before the flames consumed everything. She just saw it as a devastation that took place, but that's not the end of it. She just saw a little snippet, because it's going to be so many missiles dropping here. Ain't nobody coming out to see anything after enough missiles drop. And it's all going to be within 1 hour. I'll show you that when we get over to Revelation 18. So she just saw it. It got worse after her vision stopped. Okay. Immediately after that, more missiles is falling. More warheads are dropping. Okay. And that reminds me. See, I told you there's many, many, many examples of this all over social media, but we have some personal examples, okay? I meant to play this, and I just got rolling and forgot, okay? Because in the small little flock and small little congregation that gets fed by me, there is the akhwath, the sister, that comes out from time to time. She didn't come out as much anymore because they live a little further away, and that's all right. because she doesn't have to come out. She just needs to keep listening and learning. And she has some members of the hopeful elect in her household. And one of her little ones was also given a dream, a prophetic dream and vision. And it spurned and spawned a whole entire lesson series that I have on pause right now. When the Spirit allows, I'm going to go back and pick it up some more, going into the thermonuclear destruction and the return of Yahweh Shah Mashiach. So we even have examples of that hit right close at home. And I'm going to play it for you right now. Okay? So listen up.
What was your dream, Regina? I saw the world getting destroyed, where buildings were falling down, and everything was like getting destroyed. Like the bridge was falling down, the red bridge was falling down, the buildings were falling down. Everything was going nuclear, like a nuclear bomb. And then more buildings started falling down, more cities started blowing up, and yeah. And then I got picked up by those Tyrians, and I never came back down. Oh, okay.
So the young Shar, the young prince, saw the thermonuclear destruction, the return of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, and he also saw the results of the earthquake too, with all the buildings falling down, and he saw his deliverance and salvation. But he left out one little detail, so I asked his mother to get him to say it again and include the other detail. And I knew about it because I was told about it verbally first, and when I heard it, I knew I was going to feature it, right? And so I wanted to make sure he got that other detail that he missed, so I'm going to play that for you as well.
About your dream that you were told, Rahab. The buildings were falling down, the golden woods were falling down. I got picked up by one of the Tyrians, and then the lasers from the Tyrians was destroying the Statue of Liberty. And then everything was getting blown up like it was going nuclear. Everything. Oh, okay.
Everything, just like the Apostle Peter said. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved. In the NLT, since everything around us is going to be destroyed like this. And that's what the young Shah, the young prince, just said. And he had forgotten about the lasers, which put that lasers in quotation marks, because that's just one of two ways that you can best describe it, because there is no real good description, because it's otherworldly. This world has never seen anything like that before. Okay? All right? So, maybe, the fire, maybe, because I think it's probably going to be something different, but maybe, because Elijah called down fire from heaven. I think it's going to be different than that, though. I was just thinking about that, because there are examples in the scriptures of fire being called down from heaven, and that's coming from the chariots, right? But this is described, especially like in Habakkuk, the 3rd chapter, as horns, which is really getting at lasers or superheated, concentrated fire. But that's just the best description you can come up with. Okay? It's otherworldly. It's out of this world. And he saw that as well. And that's why he said the lasers from the chariots, okay, were destroying the Statue of Liberty. Okay? And so that's why I think it's going to be a little bit different and further a more powerful demonstration than what's actually recorded and has actually happened before. Okay? We'll find out when we're getting deliverance and salvation, and then we're watching from the chariots. We'll find out, right? But I think it's going to be something even greater than what's been demonstrated before. Okay? But he saw that as well. And not only that, his mother, who you heard on the recording, she also had a prophetic dream and vision in accordance with Joel 2, 28, 29, 30, Acts 2, 17, 18, and 19. She also had one. And she had the same exact carbon copy, rerun, dream, back-to-back nights in a row. She had it one night. Oh, and she also had it as a result of praying to the Heavenly Father and asking her to show him if that was true. That referring to what I said when I said that every square inch of America, Babylon the Great, is going to be consumed absolutely, completely, and totally by thermonuclear fire. And she asked the Heavenly Father by prayer to show her whether or not that was true. And then she went to bed, and the Heavenly Father gave her a prophetic vision, a prophetic dream of right here in Lexington, Kentucky, right at the spot where I preach and teach. I don't preach and teach there on the regular anymore, but right where I have been preaching and teaching for years, where she would come out, she was there in the dream she had that very night. And she looked over the distance past the Chase building that's right there. I mean, I could walk and touch the Chase building in less than a minute from that spot. And she saw that Chase building. She was right at that spot in her dream. And she looked past the Chase building right here in Lexington, Kentucky in her dream and vision. And she saw a massive thermonuclear mushroom cloud. And she said that fire was starting to form all around the location where she was at. And then the vision ended. And that was as a result of her praying to the Father and asking him to show her whether or not what I said was true or not. And then she had the exact same dream, carbon copy, the very next night, 2 nights in a row, back to back nights. So she saw the heaven being rolled together as a scroll right here in Lexington, Kentucky, after praying to the Heavenly Father. See, these prophecies are faithful and true. The scriptures are faithful and true. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is getting ready to happen. See, so right there, you got 3 examples. You got this woman here, okay, who she didn't make this up, okay? She really had that dream. And then you got 2 examples from members of the flock that I interact with directly, okay, directly, all right? And so I asked his mother to share that with me. And as often as the Spirit prompts me to, I play it. This is probably like the 10th time I've played that. Okay? But you want to know what? Those that don't have ears to hear, no matter what you do, they aren't going to hear and hearken. And they aren't going to flee from the coming said perils. Okay? So, looking for and hastening to the coming of the day of the Most High. We're in that, it's like a wrong verse. That's a good verse, but I really want to get this 11. Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, everything around us is going to be destroyed like this. What holy and godly lives you should live. What manner of persons ought ye to be in all holy conversation. That's behavior and speech. Focusing on the behavior first and godliness. How should you be living? What type of mindset should you be in? Okay? What type of spirit should you be in? A party spirit? Okay? Build for the future type of spirit? You know, let me have my 5-year plan, my 10-year plan, and my 1-year plan. Is that the type of spirit you should be in? Okay? Hell no. Okay? You should be mindful. You should be living like you know that this is, do what you got to do for the day in and day out, because it ain't today. And it ain't tomorrow, and it ain't next week, and it ain't next month. So do what you got to do to get what you got to get for the day and for the time and all that. But you ain't in no mindset to be continuing here. Okay? Hebrews, 13 and 14? For here we have no continuing city. This place is getting ready to be destroyed by thermonuclear fire. This world system's coming to an end. Absolute and complete and total and utter end. Unrecognizable. You're not going to see any shred of it at all. Not even a ghost. What I mean by that is you can kind of see faint resemblances of it. No, it's going to be completely and totally and utterly wiped out like it never existed. For here we have no continuing city, but we seek one to come. Okay? So there. And every island fled away, and the mountains were found not. The whole surface of the earth is going to be changed. And there fell upon men a great hail. Okay, well, what's the point of the hail if, you're getting all this thermonuclear destruction? The hail is the thermonuclear destruction. It's a metaphor. Right? This is talking about the same thing, metaphorically. And there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven. Every stone, the stones is the warheads. Okay? Let's see something. I don't think it's really going to tell you how does it tell you how much? It says about 100 pounds. Okay. A talent of gold, 200 pounds. So, they're giving you different weights. So I guess Esau is trying to say that the talent was by volume and not by weight. But it's really by weight based on the way the scripture's written. Okay. But whatever it is you see, it's, several hundred pounds, a couple of 100 pounds, whatever. Okay. These are the warheads. Okay. Every stone about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed the Most High because of the plague of the hail. For the plague thereof was exceeding great, because this is no regular hailstorm. This is the thermonuclear missiles, the warheads, to be specific. Okay, put in metaphoric speak. So then, let's go over to Revelation. Wait a minute. Let me see here. Do I want to go to Revelation 18 first or 2nd Ezra 15 first? Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15 first. Because 2nd Ezra 15 is very heavy and very deep, getting into a lot of things. World War III, especially starting at verse 27, building, and then it gets into the destruction, which is the end of the Third World War, which is which is what we're in now. Okay, the Third World War, the third woe, Revelation 11:14, precede that with Revelation 9 and 12, is in progress now. And it's and so it's starting into that in like 27. Let me see, what's 26? Yeah, 27. That's I meant 28 actually. Okay, it's getting into it. The Third World War. Okay, all right. Now that's what this is getting into. Verses 28 and 29 hasn't really happened. That hasn't happened yet, but that's coming soon, real soon. Okay, this is getting into the Third World War, which is already underway, but it's building. It's building. Okay, and so it builds and builds and builds, and it ultimately ends in all-out thermonuclear war, the complete and total and utter destruction of America, Babylon the Great, and all the kingdoms of these heathen nations fallen. Okay, and you see there, I'm not focusing in on it, but you see there, in verse 36, and dung of men unto the camp. Let me get 35. They shall smite one upon another. Let me see here. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south. That's the thermonuclear war, the thermonuclear Slovakia. That's the thermonuclear mushroom clouds. And they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly. Keep that in mind when we go to Slovakia, I'm misspeaking all over the place. Keep that in mind when we go to Revelation the 14th chapter, which we won't get to tonight, okay? But it's also in Joel the 3rd chapter, which we also won't get to tonight, okay? And dung of men unto the camels who, I believe how you pronounce it. Meaning it's going to be so many dead, okay? But we're not focusing on that. This is what we're focusing in on. Okay? Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out where I want to pick it up at. Okay, let's get 38. We'll get down to 45. Maybe. We'll see. And then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west, and strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it, and the cloud which he raised up in wrath, and the star stirred to cause fear toward the east, and the west wind shall be destroyed. The great and mighty clouds shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star, that they may make all the earth afraid, and them that dwell therein, and they shall pour out over every high and eminent place and horrible star. This is the thermonuclear destruction. Fire and hail. Tying right into the Revelation 16 and flying swords. The flying swords is a metaphor for the thermonuclear missiles. And what are the thermonuclear missiles carrying? Warheads. Multiples of them. Okay? But they're being transported by the missiles. And as the missile flies through the air, it looks like a flying sword. In fact, in the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter, it's metaphorically referred to as a sword or sword. Okay? For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. That's talking about the missiles, sword, flying through the sky, heaven. Bathed in heaven, meaning the missiles are going to fly through the sky. Okay? And so that's what it's referring to. The same thing here when it says flying swords. That's the missiles. Okay? Because look, that's what a missile would look like or resemble as it's flying through the sky. The only thing it's missing is the handle and the handguard. That's the only thing it's missile. Only thing it's missile. That's the only thing it's missing. Take a sword like a standard Roman sword, okay, like a standard Roman short sword or even a medium length sword. Remove the handguard and the handle, and that's what a missile looks like. That's why it's called a flying sword. Fire and hail and flying swords and many waters, that all fields may be full, and all rivers with the abundance of great waters. And they shall break down the cities and walls, mountains and hills, trees of the wood, and grass of the meadows, and their corn, and they shall go steadfastly unto Babylon, America, and make her afraid. They shall come to her and besiege her. The star and all wrath shall they pour out. The star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her, Babylon, America. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven, thermonuclear mushroom clouds. And all they that be about her shall bewail her. Okay? The dust and smoke go up unto the heaven, and they that be about her shall bewail her. And they that remain, that's enough. Let's stop there. Let's read that again. They shall come to her and besiege her. The star in all wrath shall they pour out upon her. All wrath. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven. That's the reason why it says this before we go to Revelation 18 in Genesis 19. Destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? Verse 23. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar. Then Yahweh, that's too far up. Let's get, let me see. Can we get that? Yeah, we can read the whole thing. Then Yahweh rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone. Every time you see anything about brimstone in the scriptures, it's always talking about here on the earth. Outside of metaphors, like unto brimstone. Well, that's just a similitude, right? But it's actually talking about actual brimstone here on earth. Like, for example, the brimstone here rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay? And so I'm pointing that out because it talks about the lake of fire, which is filled with fire and brimstone. That's here on earth. That's what America, Babylon the Great, will be when it's destroyed with thermonuclear fire. The lake which burneth with fire and brimstone. Brimstone is always talking about here on this earth, man. Okay? The lake of fire will be America, Babylon the Great, when it's destroyed by thermonuclear fire. Then Yahweh rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. Back then, the elements were supernaturally formed in the atmosphere to rain down fire and brimstone. Now, it's a little different. Same effect, but a little different. Much larger scale, but the same effect, the same idea. Back then, the elements were supernaturally formed in the atmosphere, just supernaturally, to rain down fire and brimstone. This time, behold, I have created the smith, verse 16, Isaiah 54, I have created the smith, all right, the workman, that bloweth the coals in the fire. Wow, what you making? And that bringeth forth an instrument. Oh, something that's going to do something for his work. What's it going to do? I have created the waster to destroy. Okay? That's what. Okay? So now the Most High put the spirit on these Edomites to make the thermonuclear missiles, and he's going to use the missiles this time to rain down that fire and brimstone. He created the waster to destroy. Okay? Oh, Salakia. Back over here. But back to Sodom and Gomorrah. Then Yahweh rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah brimstone and fire from Yahweh out of heaven. And he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants. Oh, but it's not going to be complete and total in this time. And all those cities, all of them, and all the plain, all of it, and all of the inhabitants, all of them, of the cities, except for Lot, and those that were with him, and that which grew upon the ground, everything. But his wife looked back. Remember Lot's wife. Don't look back. Don't take your hand off the plow. Yahweh shall say, if any man draw back, my soul shall have no delight in him. He's not fit for the kingdom. You're not fit. You're unfit. You're reprobate. Don't look back. Don't be like Lot's wife. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abram got up early in the morning. This is actually what we came for. And Abram got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before Yahweh, and he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah. What did he see? And toward all the land of the plain. What did he see? And behold, he looked, and lo, the smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. The smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. Okay? And that's what we came here. The smoke of the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. Okay? Then shall they come to her and besiege her, and the star and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven. Doesn't say it here, but it's as a furnace. That's the connection I'm showing you. Okay? Why? Because why are we connecting this? Why are we connecting 2 Exodus 15 to Genesis 19? Why? Well, before we answer that, you should already know we're going to make one more connection. Isaiah 13 and 19. This whole chapter is talking about this. And we only get one verse. And Babylon, America, Babylon the Great, the glory of kingdoms. Okay, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, because the modern day Chaldeans are the Americans, the Babylonians. America, Babylon the Great, Chaldeans, same thing. With regards to end time prophecy, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. So the same manner of destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah is the manner of destruction of America, Babylon the Great. Except this time, the fire and brimstone is coming from thermonuclear missiles. Okay? That's the difference. Why? Because the Most High determined for it to be that way. We just read it in Isaiah 54 and 16. Okay? Babylon, the most glorious of kingdoms, the flower of Chaldean pride, will be devastated meaning in the same way that Sodom and Gomorrah was when the Most High destroyed them. Okay? The same manner of destruction, fire and brimstone. Back then, supernaturally formed. This time, coming from thermonuclear missiles. Okay? Now, let's go to Revelation 18. I said I was going to. This whole chapter is all about America, Babylon the Great, being destroyed by thermonuclear fire. The whole chapter. I'm just going to touch on a couple things and wrap it. Everybody here in America, Babylon the Great, however many it is here, okay? They say 350 million citizens or whatever, but we know there's a lot of illegals that came in during Biden's term, right? So it might be 375 million, pushing 400 million here. All of them are going to fucking die, okay? One way or another. A lot are going to be killed in the plagues. It's already happening. A lot are going to be killed in the plagues, are being killed, and going to be killed in the plagues leading up to the thermonuclear destruction. And then those that remain, they're all going to be killed and burned in the thermonuclear fire. Everyone's going to die except for the elect, which are getting that deliverance and salvation, which we read about in Matthew 24, verses, I think I touched on it, okay? 27, 28. No, was it 29, 30, and 31? I think I kind of touched on it. I might have showed it, but I don't know for sure that I read it. But it's 29, 30, and 31, okay? The elect, the very small remnant, and the women that are joined unto us, Yahweh Azah, count amongst the number. I do hope, trust, and believe I am. The women that are joined unto us, that we're the only ones that's going to survive. Okay? The very small remnant. The vast majority of the rest of the nation of Israel here in America, Babylon the Great, and the vast Slakin, and all of the heathen, Slakin on the vast on that, and all of the heathen here are going to fucking die, either in the plagues leading up to the thermonuclear destruction, or in the thermonuclear destruction itself. Everything. Remember what the young Shah said. Remember what the woman said, okay? Everything was fine 1 minute, the next thing, destruction everywhere. And it didn't stop there. Her vision ended there, but the destruction went on. The destruction is going to increase from there to being complete and total and all out. Okay? I told you I was going to read to you here that the plagues are literally coming in 1 hour. Let me see here. We can get that 8. Oh, we got to get the 9 because we read over here. That let me see here. They shall. Let me see here. Where was that I read? Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, it's all in verse 44. We're going to connect that 44 to Revelation 18. They shall come to her and besiege her, the star, and all wrath shall they pour out upon her. Then shall the dust and smoke go up unto the heaven. Okay? Because the whole land is going to be on fire. Okay? Imagine one thermonuclear mushroom cloud. It's putting up, I'm pretty confident to say, hundreds of millions of tons of ash and soot and smoke into the air. Just one. Hundreds of millions of tons. Just one. Okay? Blacking out the sky quite a bit over a large area. Now multiply that 200 million times. Now bring in the fire that ensues as a result, which will engulf the whole entire land and burn for quite some time. Now add in the smoke from that and the ash from that, all up into the air. It's going to rise up into the sky as the smoke of a great furnace, just like it said in Genesis, the 19th chapter. And the destruction of America, Babylon the Great, the glory of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be the same thing on a much larger scale, a much larger scale. Same thing though. Okay. So yeah, smoke go up into the heaven, and they shall bewail her. Right. So let's bring that to Revelation 18. Okay. And let's get the 8. We're looking for the smoke going up, and we're looking for the bewailing. We're putting that with Genesis, and we're putting that with 2nd Ezra 15. Therefore, and we're putting that with Isaiah 13. Therefore, and you can get more. You can get more. I just got you enough for you to see beyond a shadow of a doubt. But you can get more. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, plural, death and mourning. Because this one day here is literal and metaphoric. Okay, the first portion of this verse is metaphoric. And as you get to the second half of the verse, it becomes literal. The first portion of the verse is a metaphoric one day, meaning a metaphoric period of time. It's not just going to be literally one day people are going to be dying here. It's already started. Okay, the beginning of sorrows. Okay? Great death is one of the things listed there in the beginning of sorrows. It's a period of time. So this one day is manifold. It's literal and metaphoric. In the first portion of the verse, you got the metaphoric one day. And at the end of the verse, that's the literal one day. Therefore shall plagues, plural, come in one day. Death, great death, and mourning, miseries, and famine. That's all coming in a period of time. It's here. It started. Already underway. And she shall be utterly burned with fire. That's a literal one day. Coming rapidly, hastening, greatly. Yeah, it might be hastening greatly, but it's coming, but it's got a long way to go. No, it's near. It is near. Yeah, but you can't just be making stuff up. I'm not. That's Zephaniah, the first chapter, verse 14. It's near. It is near. You don't say it twice. Yes, it does. And hasteth greatly. So that's the literal one day, and it's coming fast, and it's already close, very close, and coming fast. You see why I say, you see why we say months? And me personally, speaking as a man, I put it at 18 to 36. Okay, if you really pressure me, 18 to 42. Isn't that 42? No, not 42. 48. 18 to 48. Okay? And I think 18 to 36. But, maybe 48. You see why? Okay? And she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Adonai Yahweh who judgeth her, the Lord power who judgeth her. Put that with Revelation, not Revelation. Put that with 2 Ezra 16. Okay, what about that bewailing though? And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, America, Babylon the Great, shall bewail her. There's your bewailing. And lament for her. That same, another word pretty much means the same thing. When they shall see the smoke of her burning. Okay? Here's your 1 hour. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city. Citizen. City. Citizen. City. City. Citizio in the Latin. Citizen. City, citizio in the Latin. Citizen literally means dweller or inhabitant of a city. So when you say I am a citizen of America, Babylon the Great, you are saying you are an inhabitant and a dweller in the city of America. That's literally what citizen means. Going back to the Latin word citizio, which means city. Okay? So city is as large or small as its population. That's why this is a great city. It's America, Babylon the Great. That mighty city, the hammer of the whole earth, bossing all the other nations around. Okay, telling them what they can and can't do. Dropping bombs on them if they get too far out of line, but usually just beating the shit out of them with sanctions. Okay, that's the mighty city, America, Babylon the Great. For in 1 literal hour is thy judgment come. Revelation 9. Okay. We're prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year. That's all literal. Going back up to this verse here. Verse 8. Because again, in the first portion of the verse, the one day is metaphoric. In the second portion of the verse, the one day is literal. And in that one day, there's a literal hour. And that 1 hour, that literal hour, and that one literal hour, and that one literal day is in a literal month and a literal year. And a specific appointed time that only the Heavenly Father knows exactly when it is. This is your proof. For in 1 literal hour is thy judgment come. How long does it take for the ICBMs to get from wherever they're fired over here? Let's say they're a long way away. 35, 40 minutes. Within 1 hour. What about the hypersonics? What about the hypersonics ones? That's fast. 10, maybe 15 minutes. Okay? If it's far away. See? 1 hour. This 1 hour is literal. Okay? Let's get the smoke rising up. Okay? There's your 1 hour again. For in 1 hour, so great riches, America, Babylon the Great, is coming to naught. Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and just read it then. Okay? They're weeping and they're lamenting and they're bewailing some more. The merchants of these things, why? Because they all sell their goods to America, the greatest consumer nation on the planet. The merchant, they get rich here. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her. Everybody's getting rich off America, man. America, man. So the greatest consumer nation by far. And that's still true, even though it's diminished a lot. America's consumerism power has diminished a lot because of the basically the death of the economy, right? But it's still the greatest consumer nation by a lot, even though it's greatly diminished. More than the next 10 nations combined. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, America, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment. Right. I mean, they're looking on satellite and social media and things like that. Because these are nations around the world. Okay? Weeping and wailing, bewailing her. And saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, because she's rich, because she has the reserve currency of the world, America. For in 1 hour, literal, so great riches is come to naught. And every ship master, right, because the majority of them are coming here. And all the company and ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea, yeah, the merchant ships, stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? And there's your 1 hour again at the end of verse 19. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. Okay? And look, some rejoicing. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High hath avenged you on her. Okay? That's it. That's it. I mean, you know, right. Yeah. Yeah, and in her, America, Babylon the Great, was found the blood of prophets. Yep. Yeah. It's the prophets, man. We've been enslaved here too. And we've been put to death here too. And some of us still more are going to be put to death before we all get out of here. I'll read that to you and close on that. And of saints. That's the nation of Israel. And of all that were slain upon the earth. So not only is he killing the Israelites, which that is what matters which that is what matters most by far, killing the Israelites, the sons and daughters of the Most High Yahweh. Okay? That's what matters most by far. That's what our Father Yahweh cares about by far the most. In comparison, he don't really care about anything else. In comparison, right? Okay? But he's also killing all the heathen nations. Okay? So what did I say I was going to for you? In her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and of all. Let me see. I forgot what I said I was going to get. Prophets and the saints. In her was found the blood of the prophets. I said I was going to get something. What was it? Oh, man. What was it I said I was going to get? Let me see if I can get it back. I'm going to pause it. It got away from me. I can't remember now. I don't want to take any more time. I think I mentioned what the precept was. You can go read it. Salakia. End of a long day. Getting late. Tired. Long lesson. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it. I think I mentioned what it was, but then, you know, I kept rolling and it got away from me. So, but anyway, that's sufficient. So we didn't get back into the Joel 3 tonight, but it all builds. This is like an insert that just enhances the lesson series. This is like an insert that enhances the edification and the understanding, because it's all going into the same thing. We interrupt this program due to end time biblical prophecies and the end of the world. What manner of holy conversation and what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Before I do, want to give all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shabbat, Rechak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much peace, love, and respect to the brothers teaching, pushing this truth out the four corners of the earth. Adawan Brother Zadis, that's what's edifying and encouraging to you, Achim, and any Achwaf that may be listening and or watching. Ayashmi Akwana, Azanyim Lashemai Shemai. Let him who has ears to hear. Kwam Yasharala, Baba Kosha, Abai Baba Aitha, Wakal Adawam. Shalom Nahabachayim, peace to the elect. Shalom.